We begin in Ukraine, where fresh explosions have hit the capital, Kyiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia used so-called kamikaze drones to attack the city. Kyiv's mayor says residential buildings have been damaged, and he urged people to take shelter. The explosions come 1 week after Moscow launched large-scale airstrikes across Ukraine, and despite President Vladimir Putin since saying he has no plans for further attacks of that kind. Let's cross over now to our correspondent Fanny Facsar in Kyiv. Fanny, your day, along with many people in Ukraine, started with explosions. Tell us more.
Now, the current situation in Kyiv City, the air raid alert is no longer in effect, but in many other regions across the country it is. So, of course, people are bracing, unfortunately, for more indiscriminate attacks or shelling. What we know currently, there's no report or no number whether casualties whether there are any casualties here in Kyiv City. But what we know from the city mayor here, from Kyiv's mayor, Mr. Klitschko, that at least 2 people are trapped in those rubbles underneath damaged buildings. Well, about 18 could be rescued so far with emergency workers on the site. This is all happening in this district where I'm staying right now. We do not know exactly what was the exact designated target, to say so, but the official information here from the Ukrainian sources is that apparently critical infrastructure was attacked. Now, you have to know that there is a heating plant here in the Kyiv city, and what I can just basically tell you is what I have seen this morning, what I've heard. And at first, I've heard shortly after 6:30 a very loud sound of what turned out was a drone. Literally, I thought the drone is coming straight into a hotel. This is how close it was, and literally right after, an explosion followed by several other explosions. The air raid alert, as I say, is currently not in effect, but does it say that people feel safe? Certainly not. They're bracing for more attacks and are asking themselves, why again? Why again the heart of Kiev, and why is this happening?
Yeah, the Russians tried taking Kyiv and failed at the very beginning of this war. Do you think the Russians are now, is this a new focus, perhaps, in this war against Ukraine?
Without getting into much speculation, but certainly if you attack the capital of any country, this is quite symbolic. For, in this case, for Russia, of course, they want to show that they do have the upper hand in this war, that they because of the very successful counteroffensive by Ukraine, seem to have lost quite a bit here. Whether this is happening because there were attacks in Belgorod, which is a town in Russia close to the Ukrainian border, or whether this is happening because there was an attack on Donetsk, which also Russia blames Ukraine of having conducted, we do not know. But alone the fact is, for the second time after 1 week again, the very same district of Kyiv City is being hit is not only a wake-up call to so many people here in Ukraine, that no longer you can have the feeling of safety that you used to have, at least for the past couple of months here in Kyiv City, that you're relatively safe here. But it's certainly, and this is what the Ukrainian government is trying to urge foreign leaders to, it is also a wake-up call, or should be understood as such, for international leaders to support Ukraine with air defense systems. Prior to all of these attacks, Mr. Zelensky pointed out he only has, quote, about 10% of what it needs to defend the air, and by that defending the citizens of Ukraine. And obviously, if that's true, that's not a very, very big number, Ben.
What about the residents of Kyiv? I mean, should they be staying there, or is there any way to prepare for something like this?
Including us, everybody's basically prepared with a backpack of things that you may just grab and go, because you do not know where you're going to end up in the next couple of hours, the next couple of days. So you can prepare in the sense that you're putting your essential items into your backpack. But can you really prepare when this is happening during the night while you're sleeping? Certainly not. And this is exactly what's quite perfidious about these attacks, be it missile attacks or the drones that really work as kamikaze drones, as so-called suicide drones that simply just drop on a target. There's no way you can leave. Literally, you have like seconds to get up from your bed and can count yourself and consider yourself lucky if your residential building is not being hit.
DW's Fanny Facsar, thank you very much for the reporting. Well, Ukraine says many of Russia's recent attacks have used Iranian-made drones. Tehran denies selling drones to Russia, but analysts see evidence of Iranian instructors training Russian soldiers to use them. Here's a look at what the unmanned tools of war are and what Russia is doing with them.
They call it the moped for its loud, crude mechanical noise that can be heard from far away. The Iran-made Shahed 136 drone, here seen hovering over Odessa. But it's no joke. These drones can have devastating effects. Though Iran denies selling them to Russia, Kyiv says fragments of this drone, shot down in southern Ukraine, have Iranian as well as Russian markings. The Shahed is a series of drones made by Iran. The 136 has a wingspan of 2.5 meters and carries 40 kilograms of explosives. It's classified as a loitering munition. It can hang out for hours in the air until a target is found. Then it zooms in, becoming a missile that destroys itself on impact. What makes Iranian drones useful to Russia is that they are cheap. The Shahed 136 costs about 20,000 euros each. Russia flies them alone or in low-altitude swarms, hoping that one or two will get through Ukrainian air defenses, which have trouble seeing them, although several have been shot down. Ukraine is still figuring out how to deal with the threat they pose. But they will have to act fast. President Zelensky claims that Russia has ordered more than 2,000 of the Shaheds.
For more, we can speak to Mike Martin, a former British Army officer and a War Studies Fellow at King's College London. Nice to see you again, Mike. Russia's repeatedly used drones in recent weeks especially and has reportedly ordered thousands more, as we heard there. How effective are drones compared to other forms of attack?
Well, the beauty of drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, is that they don't have people on board. They're much cheaper, and so you can send larger numbers of them at the same time. And what that does is that overloads air defense systems, as I think you hinted at in your package, and that's why they can be very effective.
The kamikaze ones, of course, can only be used once, but Russia's resorting more and more to drones by the sounds of it. Has it run out of other weapons?
Certainly it has. One effect that the sanctions have had on Russia is they've been unable to import high-tech things like gyroscopes that you need for precision-guided munitions. And so we've heard rumours about them getting artillery shells from the North Koreans, and now they're buying drones and other weapons from the Iranians. This is basically to replenish the stockpiles that they've used up already in the war.
Kyiv and Washington have both accused Tehran of supplying drones to Russia, and the EU's top diplomat said today the bloc is seeking concrete evidence for any Iranian involvement in the war, but Iran consistently denies this. Is there any doubt that these drones come from Iran?
No, it's sort of 98, 99% certain. And not just drones as well. We've seen evidence of missiles that are being used in the conflict that have also come from Iran. And, you know, Iran is quite a competent weapons manufacturer of low-tech, what you might call value weaponry. And so it's fairly natural that Russia might go to Iran. And these are cheap, plentiful weapons.
So how much of a helping hand is Iran giving Russia?
Well, what I think is the most interesting thing is traditionally Russia has supplied weapons to Iran, but here what we're seeing is the opposite of that. So I think that tells us the weakness of Russia's position. I think that really what this is it enables Russia to continue fighting, albeit with slightly different weapon systems, but it enables it to continue fighting. The provision of these kamikaze drones, the Shahed, or even some missile systems is not going to change the strategic balance of the war.
Mike Martin from King's College London, thank you so much for the analysis.
Thank you. Thank you.